Christmas is so fun and hilarious. Hello. Merry Christmas, everybody. Well, at least it is for us. For you guys in a couple of days, I think. I'm going to be doing something that I've been doing for 10 years, and that's making Indian food for my fake Christmas celebration with my pals. But because I couldn't do it with them this year, I'm going to be doing it with you guys. I'm going to be doing a whole roast spiced chicken with Makhani gravy and all the sides. I want you to enjoy this, as per usual. Merry Christmas. See you later. Okay guys, so in the nature of getting ahead at Christmas time, what I've done is I've taken a really nice chicken from my butcher and I've rubbed in with 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of chili powder and loads of salt with a little bit of oil just to carry it. And what that's going to do is essentially dry brine the chicken, and dry brining is just a posh term for salting it and leaving it for a long period of time. So that's it, real simple. But there's one other tip I'm going to give you, and that is, that's loud, isn't it? And that is that I'm going to be making 2 foil balls. I'm going to be popping them underneath the legs of my chicken. As you can see now, we have a certain amount of skin that is not exposed to the elements. That results in flab. We don't want flabby skin. We want shatteringly crisp skin all over. So we're going to create 2 foil balls to raise that chicken up, expose it to the heat of the oven, and tell you what, that means these bits are no longer the bits that no one wants. Those are the bits that everyone wants. Cool. So make 2 balls, that's 1 ball. 2 balls. And you just pop them underneath this little area here, on both sides. And look at that. It's not really working. So I make them bigger. Nestle the second guy in there. Yes, it looks mental, but I'm telling you now, this creates a delicious roast. All right, cool, man. He's gonna go in the oven now, and then I'm gonna be making my gravy for you. See you later. All right then, so my chicken's in the oven. Now, all I have to do is make my Makhani gravy. Makhani just means butter. Murgh Makhani means butter chicken. It's a sauce with butter and cream and tomato. Really similar to chicken tikka masala, but I prefer it, if you're asking. So phase 1 starts with plenty of oil. You really need enough oil to cover the base of the pan in order to lubricate everything that you're putting in there. We're going to start with some whole garam masala. You might be familiar with garam masala that comes in a powder, but actually lots of gravies start with whole spices that are also found in garam masala. So I'm going in with some cumin seed, some caraway seed, less common, but check it out. I'm going with some whole green cardamom, some cinnamon, and some dried bay leaves. And as soon as you can see it start to change colour, you know that all of the natural oils from the spices have been released into the surrounding oil, and that's going to be perfuming your sauce. So now, onions. Now they've got dark, the spices that is. I'm also going in with some green chilli. And then this is key, you want to season it with plenty of salt at this stage. And that helps the onions cook evenly, helps draw out the moisture, and it also seasons the base of your sauce. So that's phase 1, and now what you want to do, you just want to wait for those onions to get dark and caramelized. So you want to give this like 8 to 10 minutes. 8 to 10. So we can have a nice gravy later. So we can have a nice gravy. Can you look at my gravy? Can you see my gravy in the air? Can you see my gravy?
Come at you,
Right, so my onions look amazing. They are like in between light and dark golden. So now it's time for some ginger garlic paste. That's just equal parts ginger and garlic whizzed up with a little bit of water. And you just want to cook that out until the raw smell disappears. And you want that little bit of water in there just to lubricate it, just to loosen it up, to help it fry. And you know when that's ready, once all of the water is evaporated and the oil separates, and you can start to smell it. And then at this stage, it's time to add your ground spices. I've got 2 teaspoons of Kashmiri chili powder. I've ground up fresh. I've also got some turmeric. I've got a little bit of smoked paprika, which is good when you're not using tandoori chicken, or when you're not using chicken tikka, gives you a little bit of smokiness that tandoor would impart otherwise. And then, look at that mess!
Look at that mess!
And you just want to turn your spices through the oil, and then your best friend here, always, when you're making a gravy like this, is water, because you don't want that to burn on the base. So I'm just going to go in with a tablespoon of water, and stir that through to create like a masala base. It will go all pasty and turn into a little thick sauce. So I can smell that my spices have been lightly toasted in the oil there. The oil is starting to separate again. So now it's time for some tomato puree. I've just let down about 80 grams of tomato puree with a couple of tablespoons of water. And you want to make sure that's cooked out as well. Just cook everything out. Now I'm going to chuck in my tomato passata. You can use whole plum tomatoes. Don't use chopped tomatoes though, because we're looking for a smooth sauce here. We wouldn't have gone to the effort of cooking our onions properly if we wanted a big lumpy sauce. And then essentially all you're doing is finishing the sauce with cream, with cashew cream, with butter, lemon, honey, coriander, loads of amazing stuff that's going to take this from like tomato sauce to like nth degree deliciousness. Wow, look at all those lovely spices. Yeah, of course I can. So what you need to be doing is buying whole spices. Don't buy ground spices, because ground spices, the shelf life, real short, and life is really long. You need to get yourself an old coffee grinder or a pestle and mortar, grind it up fresh, and then you've got a product that you can work with. Make sure you bloom them in hot fat. That could be neutral oil or butter or ghee, coconut oil, whatever. That's going to make your curry taste really delicious. And if ever your spices look like they're going to catch, your best friend is a small pot of water. Chuck in a couple of tablespoons, stop the spices from burning, and then you can carry on cooking as before. Speaking of which, let's get back to it. Okay, so now my tomatoes are cooked down. Tastes absolutely delicious as it is, but as I said, we're just going to finish it now with the cream and the dairy and all those lovely bits. So we're going in with some whipping cream. It's important to not use double cream because you want it to thin out the sauce. Also going in with a few tablespoons of roasted cashew cream. It is exactly as it sounds, it's just roasted cashews whizzed up with some water. Here I've got some dried, what are you? Right guys, what is this? Here we've got some dried kasuri, no. And here we've got some kasuri methi, which is dried fenugreek leaves. Important to use them and not fenugreek powder, because they're very different things. It's not butter chicken without that, just saying. And just give that a stir through, and it just turns an absolutely delicious, rich shade of orange. Oh, that makes me extremely happy. So I know that tastes really, really special. But the last couple of things we're going to throw in, butter, because without that, it's not butter chicken. Some honey just for sweetness. Do that to taste, man. It's up to you. If you like sweet stuff, put more in. If you don't like sweet stuff at all, don't put any in at all. We've got some coriander here, finely chopped. All of that coriander. I know some of you guys out there think it tastes like soap, but it doesn't, to me. And we're going to finish it with a little bit of lemon. And then finally the butter. And it looks like a lot, because it is a lot, but it's Christmas. And butter is everywhere. Finally, I'm going in with some Kerryl water and some rose water, and it just gives your sauce like just the most outrageous, ethereal, kind of like what even is that flavour kind of, well, taste. So I highly recommend giving it a try, guys, I'm telling you. You don't need much because it's strong stuff, but with all these bits going in now, look at that. You see that? So now this gravy can just sit. You don't need to cook it anymore, it's cooked. You don't need to keep it warm, but you can just pop a lid on and reheat it when you're ready to serve, and I'm telling you now, man, that, for me, beats any gravy on any roast dinner I've ever had. It's absolutely mega. So lid goes on, I go off, and have a drink, probs. So we're having an amazing time so far. My chicken's nearly ready. I'm just gonna do some rice pulao that we're gonna be eating with our chicken. And we've got some raita over here, so I'm gonna make for you as well. So nice, guys. Here I've got some onions, which I've been cooking in some butter with a single stick of cinnamon for about 45 minutes. And they've gone like jammy and amazing. So I'm gonna put into the base there some chickpeas. You can put them in straight from a jar. I like to use jarred chickpeas instead of the tinned ones because they tend to be a bit more tender. And I've also got some golden sultanas here. And if you don't think that sounds nice, every time you get a little pop of one of these through the rice as you're eating everything else, game over. And here, right here, I've got some basmati rice that I've soaked for exactly 1 hour, then I've drained it. So that's going in here too. And soaking rice is important because it begins the elongation process for each of the grains. And if you were to just put that in straight, you'd end up with awful rice. So make sure you soak basmati rice every time. And now we're going to be turning everything in that pan through the delicious butter at the base. And we're going to make sure every grain is coated, every grain. Make sure the onions are distributed nicely. And the idea now is to get the pan nice and hot. And then once the rice is done, I'm going to be splashing over a little bit of saffron water. The most expensive spice, pound for pound, in the world. And look, it's a special occasion, so splash out and get some because it's going to give your rice an amazing aroma at the end. Okay, my rice is nice and toasty now. You can hear, that's what you want to hear. As you pour in the water, you want it to hit the hot pan on the base. That means you know you've got your rice nice and hot. And then grab yourself a nice piece of greaseproof paper. Pop that in. That's going to help everything cook evenly. You want to cook this for 4 minutes on high, then 7 minutes on low. Then you want to cool it down, leave it to steam for a few minutes, and then he's good to go. And while he's going, I'm going to quickly do the raita. So I've got some cucumber, 2 lovely Turkish cucumbers, which I grated on the coarse side of a box grater. And I salted it, then I left it to leach its juices, then I squeezed it, then I rinsed it, then I squeezed it again. Okay, now he's ready to take some yogurt, which I've just blended with a little bit of mint. Very easy stuff. Got a little bit of grated garlic here. Just 1 clove, you can go more. I've got some roasted cumin seed, which I've just crushed in the pestle and mortar. Then a little squeeze of lemon. I'm using natural yogurt, so it's already a little bit tart, but that'll just take it a little bit further. And you don't need any salt because the cucumber was salted, and that's going to season the rest of your raita. So I've got my amazing, cooling, creamy raita here with the salted cucumber in it. I've got my rice, which once cooked is going to be amazingly fragrant. We're going to just dress it with some of this golden saffron water, and then we're going to have our incredible, crispy, blackened, roasted chicken with our incredible Makhani sauce, Makhani gravy. Basically the best alternative roast dinner there ever was, man. Who needs Yorkshire pudding? Actually, I love Yorkshire pudding, okay. But this is just really great. This is the kind of food that I get really, really psyched about eating with my mates. So I really hope you've enjoyed watching this because for me, this is like final table dinner. Because this is like my favourite food in the world. Okay, here we go now. This is amazing. It reminds me of every single holiday I've ever been on. It reminds me of every roast chicken I've ever had times 10. It just reminds me of all my mates and just how much I love them all. And I just want to see them right now, and in the reflection of the glistening butter sauce, I can see my friend Tom going like, this is nice. This is the kind of thing that I get really psyched about making, really psyched about eating. I hope you've enjoyed it because this one, it's for me and my mates and you. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Shelf Life. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have done, you can like this video and subscribe to our channel where you can see me making other things. Remember, dudes, have a lovely Christmas in a couple of days. Stay safe wherever you are. Have a great New Year's. I'm going to be back for one final episode. Yeah, it's going to be sick, man. 2020's late.